Do you want to know how to create 3D anime characters so you can make your own videos and animations with them? No problem. If you're new here, then first of all, welcome to PULP Anime. This is a channel where I create animated series entirely on my own and teach you how to do it too. And today, I'm going to teach you one of the most useful things for anyone who wants to start creating animations. And that thing is, how to create your own 3D VRM characters. For those who don't know, VRM is a format originally designed for Vtubers, but it's also super convenient for creating animations, because it allows you to import your characters into many different softwares that allows you to animate them with ease. And it's also the format I use to create my animated series Realm. And the truth is, that the idea for this tutorial actually came to me a while back, when I discovered a free program that makes it incredibly easy to create 3D characters in a style very similar to what I envisioned for my show. And the cool thing about this software was that the characters that I made with it already came pre-rigged and even included some pre-made blend shapes. But unfortunately, there were two big problems with it. First of all, I wanted to edit and customize my characters way more than what the software allowed. And the second problem was that the characters were in the PMX format, which I'm less familiar with. So as a result of me trying to solve these issues, I accidentally stumbled upon one of the easiest methods to create original characters in the VRM format. So for your convenience, here's an outline of all the steps we'll go through during the tutorial. And I highly recommend watching until the end, because I'm going to show you a very useful program that you've probably never heard of. And this software will allow you to take almost any 3D outfit you can imagine, and transfer it over to your own original character. So if you're ready to begin, let's get started with the video. So the first step of my VRM character creation process is to actually start with a simple base model and to slowly refine and edit it to create your original character. And if you're wondering where exactly you can find these sort of base models, my favorite place that I usually go to in order to download models for my web series is a website called DeviantArt. On this website, you can simply search for something like base model DL, and you'll immediately find tons of base models that you can start with and edit to create your characters. Just don't forget to keep a note of everything you download, so it'll be easier for you to keep track of the usage guidelines and to credit the original creators. But when it came to creating the 4 main characters for my series, I actually chose to use a free software that most of you probably haven't heard of. And this software is called Hitogata. Once you download it and extract it from the zip file, you can open it and start using it to create new characters. Unfortunately, the software is only available in Japanese, but after playing around with it for a bit, you'll discover that most things are pretty intuitive even if you can't read the language. And as you can see, the software is quite simple. And it allows you to create characters in a way that is very similar to a video game's character creator. So you can basically select different eye shapes, hairstyles, and basic clothing, and then adjust them further using different sliders. And finally, you can tweak the colors with additional sliders until you have something that roughly resembles the character you envisioned. And my advice for you is to only treat this software as a tool for creating base models that you'll need to refine and customize later. After all, the clothing and accessory options available in Hitogata are quite basic. So unless you find items that are perfect for what your character needs, I recommend keeping your character's clothing minimal for now. But don't worry about the outfit at this stage, because like I said in the beginning of the video, by the end of this tutorial, I'll show you an excellent tool that will let you easily add almost any outfit to your character. But for now, if you've finished creating your character's base model, I recommend saving your original Hitogata file by clicking on the save icon over here. Then, you can export your character in PMX format by clicking on this button. And now it's time to move on to the next step of the tutorial by importing your character into another free software called Blender. So for this step of the tutorial, you'll first need to make sure to download version 2.93 of Blender. This step is critical if you want to continue to follow along, because some of the add-ons that you'll have to install will simply not work on later versions of the software. And if you usually prefer using one of the later versions, don't worry, you can easily have 2 versions of Blender installed on your computer at the same time, and switch between them as needed. So once you've downloaded the correct version of Blender from the link I've included, you're gonna need to open it and install a few add-ons in order to follow along. And the first add-on that you're gonna need is called the Cat's Blender plugin. This plugin allows you to import models in various formats and adapt them for VRM. And in order to get it, just download the add-on from the GitHub page. Then you can go back to Blender. And now, all you need to do to install it is to click on Edit, then Preferences. And then, under the Add-ons tab, click on Install. Now you can just select the zip file you downloaded, and you're done. Once it's installed, click the small arrow on the right side of the screen, and you'll see the new add-on you've installed appearing as a new tab inside Blender. So now after you're done installing it, you can click on the Cats tab, press Import Model, and bring in the base model you've created earlier. After successfully importing your model into Blender, you might notice that some of the textures look weird if you switch to the rendered or the material preview. But don't worry about it, because all you need to do to fix it is to simply press on the Fix Model button. So now that you're done importing and fixing the textures, the next thing you're gonna need to do is installing another add-on called the VRM Add-on for Blender. So go ahead and install it just like I showed you with the previous one. And after you'll finish, you could technically export your model as a VRM from Blender. But when you'll try to import it to another software, you'll likely find that your model will look like something similar to this. So unless you're working on a cosmic horror project, this is obviously not the result you are looking for. But jokes aside, the reason that the exported model came out like this is because we tried to export it without performing another critical step in the conversion process. And that step is optimizing the model for VRM. So as you saw from my failed attempt to export the model, there are basically two things that we'll need to fix: the gray textures and the distorted armature. So let's just go ahead and start by fixing the armature of the model, because this one will be relatively simpler to fix. Essentially, our attempt to convert the model's armature to VRM has failed because every VRM model always starts in a T-pose as its default position. As you can see, the model we imported is set to an A-pose instead of a T-pose, and that's basically what confused Blender's VRM converter when we tried to export the character. To fix this, all you need to do is click on Start Pose Mode, toggle the Matching Bones function, choose either the left arm or right arm bone, and just rotate it a little until you get a standard T-pose. Now, in order to lock this pose as your model's default position, simply click on Apply as Rest Pose, and you're done. Now when you'll export your character, it should look like any other normal VRM model. And just in case you want to be 100% sure that the VRM add-on has successfully read all the bones of the model, you can just click on the VRM tab, then click on VRM Humanoid, then press on Automatic Bone Assignment, and simply make sure that all the required bones are assigned. If something essential is missing, you can just click next to the bone's name and choose the correct bone. But if everything worked well, you should be able to see that all the important bones of the model were automatically assigned. So now that we're done with the easy part, it's time to move to the slightly more difficult task of fixing the missing textures. So basically, the reason that our model's textures appeared gray when we tried to export it was because we attempted to export a VRM model without creating any VRM materials first. So all we need to do now is to take the existing materials of the model and convert them to the correct format. To do this, simply click on the Material Properties button below. Select one of the materials, and then just check the Enable VRM Tune Materials function. Now you'll see that the material has been converted correctly, but unfortunately, the original texture has disappeared. To restore it, just click on the source icon, and then choose the missing texture from the list. After that, you're gonna need to do the same thing in order to fill in the shadows. Then just change the alpha mode to cutout, and you're done. You successfully fixed one material. So theoretically, you could repeat this process for the rest of the materials, and by the end of it, your character will be ready to be exported with the correct materials and textures. However, there's actually a much easier way to do this. As I mentioned earlier, there's another add-on I recommended you to install called Material Combiner. This add-on allows you to merge most of the character's materials into a single file. So theoretically, you could actually perform this process that I've showed you before on a single material layer instead of dozens of them. So let's just revert all the materials to their original state. And now, you can open the Material Combiner add-on, click on Generate Material List, and save all the textures into a single atlas file. But the issue is that there are some materials I'd actually prefer to keep separate, like blush textures that are supposed to remain transparent, or all of the other missing textures which turned black for some reason when I tried to merge them. So let me just press on Ctrl-Z to give this another try. And now in order to fix this, we'll create the material list again, but this time, we'll uncheck all of the textures that went missing. And I'm also gonna exclude the transparent texture here so we can control its blending mode separately from the other textures. Now after saving everything else as an atlas file and returning to the Material tab, you'll see that instead of dozens of materials, we've reduced the list to just 4. And if all your materials came out fine without issues, unlike mine, you might end up with only 2. So now you can just go ahead and convert all these materials like I showed you earlier, until you get the final model with proper VRM materials. But this time, the only thing I'll do differently is that when I convert the blush materials, I'll set their alpha mode to transparent instead of cutout. So now, after you've finished fixing the bones and materials of the model, you can simply click on File, Export, and choose to export it as VRM. And once you save the model in your desired folder, you'll be able to import it into any VRM software you like, and check that everything works correctly. So now after we've more or less finished the step of creating a basic character in VRM format, Now comes the really fun part of customizing your base model in order to turn it into the original character that you want to create. But before that, if you're finding this video helpful, you can support this channel by clicking on the like and subscribe button below. So anyway, now that we've finished creating a basic character in the format we want to work with, and moved on to the customization stage, the possibilities are pretty much endless. And the choice of whether to extensively modify the base model or to keep it relatively simple is entirely yours. If you'll take me for example, I really like adding a cartoon black outline to my characters. So if you want to add this to your character too, all you need to do is to open Blender, import your VRM model, and go to the Materials tab. Over there, you can select one of the materials, and under the Outline section, choose the World Coordinates option. And now you can simply change this number over here, and adjust the thickness of the outline to your liking. Personally, I like to add 0.1 to the number already listed there, but you can experiment until you find something you like. Once you've finished doing this for all the materials you want to have an outline, your character will be ready with a nice cartoony look. And since we were speaking about creating a more cartoony look for your character, there's something very common in anime faces that unfortunately is missing from the model I'm currently working with. Let me give you a second to guess what it is. So, those of you who watch a lot of anime have probably noticed that my character is missing her nose. I mean, the 3D model obviously does have a nose that was modeled for it. But at least from the front view, it's missing the iconic nose line that's very common for so many anime characters. So if you want to add it to your model, simply switch to Edit mode, select one of your character's face's polygons, and then just press Ctrl-L to select the entire face. After that, you can go ahead and switch to Texture Paint mode, and under the Tool tab on the right, you can select a color and adjust the brush size. And then you can go ahead and just paint whatever you want directly onto your model's texture. By the way, if you want to draw additional details on your model, I actually recommend you to use the Texture Paint function just in order to mark where you want to modify the texture. And then to export the texture as an image so you'll be able to edit and customize it in whatever image editing software you prefer. This way, you can add to your model whatever symbols or painted textures you want, and then to simply import the updated textures back into Blender and replace the original ones. So as you can see, there are countless options and things you can add or modify in the base model you've created, and I don't think it's necessary for me to dwell on it too much. However, what I do want to take a moment to talk about is actually customizing the blend shapes of your model. If you'll click on your model and open the Data tab, you'll see that it comes with a few basic blend shapes. Which is great, because that means that you'll be able to do a lot of stuff with your model without needing to do anything to it. But depending on what you want to do with your character, the default blend shapes might not be enough for what you need. That's why I want to teach you how you can create your own custom blend shapes, so your character will be able to display any kind of expression you can imagine. And if you're new to Blender, creating your own blend shapes from scratch might sound a bit overwhelming, but if you'll give me the chance to explain, I think you'd be surprised to see how easy this process can actually be. So let's say for example, that I want to create a new blend shape for angry eyebrows for my character. So in order to create it, all you need to do is click on the Add Shape key button on the right. Then just give it a name, crank the value to 1. And then, click on the model and switch to Edit mode. Now you can go ahead and select one of the eyebrows using Ctrl-L. And then, go to the top right corner of your screen and turn on the X-Mesh Symmetry function. And now, you can either move, rotate, enlarge, or shrink the eyebrow until you get the expression you want. So now when you'll go back to Object mode, you can adjust the value of the Shape key and see how your new blend shape will look. So that was pretty simple, but what if you want to create something more complex, like a half-smirk expression for example? Well, the process is actually almost the same. But this time around, instead of using Edit mode to create the blend shape, you can actually switch to Sculpt mode, select one of the tools, like the Grab tool for example, adjust the radius under the Tool tab, and then just go ahead and sculpt whatever expression you want. After you've finished creating all the custom blend shapes you want, and you feel like you can finally export your model, just make sure none of the shape keys are activated. And then, you can just go ahead and export your VRM from Blender to save all the changes you've made. And now, we've actually reached a very important step in this tutorial, because without it, your character simply won't be able to function like a normal VRM model. And this stage is basically finalizing the model and adding all the finishing touches outside of Blender. So essentially, what you need to understand is that any model that you want to convert to the VRM format must go through a process where all its existing blend shapes are assigned to a specific set of key expressions. These key expressions are used by nearly all VRM-based applications to automate features like lip-syncing or even webcam-based motion capture. And in most of the tutorials that you can find on YouTube, this is the point where creators switch to Unity to perform this process. However, luckily for you, I recently discovered a free software that allows you to do the exact same thing without needing to install a massive game engine like Unity. This software is called VRM Blend Shade Clip Editor. And once you download it, you can immediately drag your model into the application and start assigning blend shades to the key expressions for your final VRM model. So basically, over here you can see all the key expressions that you're gonna need to create. And below that, you'll find all the existing blend shades that came with the model or even the new ones you created. And once you've finished creating all of the expressions with the help of your character's blend shades, simply click on Export Normal. Then, save the new model on your computer, and when you'll import it into any VRM-compatible application, it should function just like any other VRM model. And since we were speaking about VRM Blend Shade Clip Editor, it's worth mentioning that the same developer also created another incredibly helpful tool called VRM Spring-bone Editor. After you'll download it, you can import your model into the software by clicking the top left button, and then you can use the software to define which bones you want to designate as spring bones. For those unfamiliar, spring bones are essentially regular 3D bones that have either jiggle or swing physics applied to them, which means that they are perfect if you want to simulate hair movements. So to set it up, simply select one of the hair bones and change its setting to the fourth option on the list. Once you test out these options up here, you'll be able to see how the bone reacts to different movements of the model. And then, just repeat this process for all the other bones that you want to configure as spring bones. When you're done, click the top right button to export your model. And now when you import the model into other applications, its hair will dramatically sway and flutter with motion. But now, as I promised in the beginning of the video, there's a little bonus I want to show you, and that's how to take almost any 3D outfit that you can find and transfer it over to your original character. So to keep things simple, let's say I want to dress my character in the outfit of this model I found on Vroid Hub. So first of all, I'll click on Use this model. And after reviewing the conditions of use and making sure everything aligns with my intentions, I can go ahead and check this box right here and continue downloading the model. However, before I show you the software I'll use to add the outfit to my character, I want to pause and mention two things. If you plan to edit the model you're downloading, make sure that modifications are allowed. Also, if attribution is required, be sure to credit the creator in your video. And even if it's not required, I think it's still a good practice to acknowledge other artists whose assets you use to help tell your stories. Especially creators like this one, who offers a lot of cool models for free and is very open about what they allow people to do with their creations. So now that we've downloaded the model we want to use for its outfit, we're going to dress it on our character using a free program called Vroid Clothing Maker. If you're interested in getting it, you can go ahead and download it right now from Steam. And once you'll install and open it, you'll arrive at an interface that looks like this. So basically, this software has two main modes that allows you to do two different things. By default, the software opens in Dress Up mode, which allows you to import your characters and then edit their outfits. And the second mode is Clothes Maker, which lets you import new outfits into the program. So let's start by importing our base model into the software by clicking on the plus icon on the right. Now, simply click on Local Upload and import your character from wherever you saved it on your computer. Now that your VRM model is here, you can move on to the next step, which is importing the outfit you want to transfer to your character. So let's click on the Clothes Maker tab, and now you can see a few of the example outfits that come with the software. But if you want to upload your own outfits, simply click on Load Clothes from VRM. After selecting the model you want to extract the outfit from, the software will automatically separate the outfit from the rest of the model's body parts. However, note that this function only works with Vroid models. So if you'll try to import other VRM characters, it will import the entire model and won't manage to separate the outfit from the character. So that means that you'll either need to stick to only Vroid outfits, or alternatively, delete the unnecessary parts of the downloaded model in Blender and keep only the outfit. And don't worry if you don't know how to do this, because I'm going to show you in just a moment. But for now, let's just click on Save. And after that, you'll be able to find the outfit that you've imported under My Editor. So now that we've finished this step, we can return to Dress Up mode and dress the outfit onto our model by clicking on Edit. Once you select the outfit you imported, you'll see that it's automatically adjusted to your character. Of course, not everything will be perfect, but now you can tweak the size and position of certain parts of the outfit until it looks good. And don't worry if you see certain areas clipping through the outfit, because I'm going to show you exactly how to fix this. But now, in order to export your character, simply click on Save. And then you'll be able to see the download button at the bottom left corner of your screen. After saving the model to your preferred location on your computer, you can move on to the final step, which is deleting the unnecessary parts in Blender. So to delete the parts that are clipping through the outfit, simply click on the base model, switch to edit mode, and start selecting and deleting all the faces that are clipping through the outfit. But if you accidentally delete a polygon and now you want to restore it, simply switch from face select to the edge select option. Then shift select the edges that form the outline of the missing polygon and simply press on F to create a new face. Just make sure to create triangular faces, because otherwise, this section might look a bit odd when you try exporting the model. And once you've fixed the clipping parts, it's a good idea to try to think ahead and delete additional sections that are not clipping through the outfit right now, but might clip through it later when animating your character. Here's what I recommend. Simply select the outfit of your character and toggle its visibility off, just so you can clearly see the areas you're selecting and want to delete. For example, I want to keep the neck and hands of the base model visible, but I want to get rid of everything else that might clip through the outfit. So I'll just delete everything in between the chest and the legs of my character. And when you're done deleting all of the parts you wanted to get rid of, simply toggle the outfit's visibility back on, export your model, and you're done. Now you have your very own VRM character ready to start animating. But now, I have some bad news for you. Unfortunately, the method I just showed you won't always work for every model you want to create. Sometimes, your base model's bones will be so different from the standard VRM armature that no matter how hard you try, you just won't be able to get Blender to successfully convert your character to VRM. But lucky for you, I have another method to convert almost any model you want into VRM by creating bones from scratch for your model in Mixamo. Till this day, I still use this method to convert or even create from scratch the different Grim models I use for my series. So if you want to learn this other useful method of creating VRM models, check out this video right here. And as always, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask me in the comments. See you later!